5:10. Let's turn things over to the weather. Like you mentioned, Elita, deja vu for many folks out there.
Yeah, if you live near the waters, Gulf or the Bay, you're going to be experiencing a little bit of fog this morning. We've got some patches of dense fog along the coastline. That dense fog advisory through noontime today. Otherwise, inland areas, you'll see some clouds overhead, but it's not the ground fog that is displayed down closer to our coastline. Temperature readings somewhere in the mid to upper 60s, lower 70s. Houston right now 70 degrees, and taking you through that hour by hour forecast. Mid to late morning temperature readings still hovering in the low 70s. We'll manage to get into the 80s during the afternoon hours, and warming today right around 83 degrees, which could be just shy of the record at Bush Airport of 86. But we get closer to those records over the weekend out ahead of our next couple of fronts, and I've got the timeline on those fronts coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Elita.
Let's talk about this record heat and when in the world it will be out of here, at least for a little while. We know it's Houston, but I mean, it is still winter.
I know, it's February. Typically, we get still some, pretty good cool downs this month, and there is, we are setting our sights on a pretty good cool down coming up here middle to the latter part of next week. We're going to have to endure a few more days of this record-breaking warmth. We officially broke the record yesterday at Bush Airport at 4:14 with a high of 83 degrees, the old record of 82. Hobby Airport as well in the lower 80s. Not quite as warm down in Galveston, but you tied a record, 77, and that was set around 2:43 yesterday afternoon. College Station also record-breaking with 85 degrees. The last time folks in College Station saw that high of a temperature on that date was back in 1895. Yeah, it's been a long time. Here you can see the afternoon temperatures are going to continue to remain above normal. This time of the year, we should be right around 66 degrees, and we are not going to be back into the 60s until next Wednesday. We've got a stronger front on the way. It's going to deliver not just a cool down, but also the potential for some wet weather. So until those cold fronts arrive, or at least a breeze picks up to help limit the fog from developing, we're going to be dealing with some dense areas of fog, especially down along our coastal communities. Once again this morning, a dense fog advisory until noontime today. Now you'll notice some patchy dense fog along the coastline, not really seeing it spread inland, although those of you located around the Bay, you may be dealing with some visibility issues. For example, Pasadena right now down to a half a mile visibility. Pearland, you're at 5, closer toward Galveston, a quarter of a mile of visibility. Seeing some improvements around Brazoria County, Angleton at 4-mile visibility. So those of you that are pretty much socked in, we saw that live picture from Galveston dealing with some fog there. Lake Jackson and Freeport as well, seeing some hazy conditions. Partly to mostly cloudy conditions inland areas as temperature readings are starting off in the upper 60s to low 70s down in Galveston. Here's that live picture here. You can see pretty much dealing with some very, very foggy conditions. We've got a frontal boundary that has stalled to our north, so that's helping generate those onshore winds. Not too strong this morning, but some cooler air behind it that's going to be locked up to our north. That front is going to continue to drift northward until it gets a better push here coming up first on Sunday for some areas, and then eventually early next week. Upper 60s right now in Sealy as well as Brenham, Navasota. You're starting off at 69 degrees. By this afternoon in the lower 80s, closer to the coastline in the low 70s there. Now we do have that heat ridge that we've been talking about. That's still in place. Lots of dry air with that. So the rain chances for today, I think that's me. Yeah, that is me. Sorry. The rain chances for the next several days is about 20% or less. But then notice that big climb in rain chance. That is due to that front. And that's when we anticipate that front to draw closer towards southeast Texas, allowing the moisture to gather. It starts to build southward enough where we get at least a 20% chance for some wet weather, and then stalls somewhere across our state heading into early next week. And then by Tuesday, that should be making a play toward us. As far as temperatures, I'll tell you what, there's going to be some counties that are going to experience a cool down this weekend. On Sunday afternoon, I've paused the clock to show you that computer models are showing temperature readings could dip into the 50s behind the front. But those of you south of the front, you're going to stay very warm, very humid. Now, there is a chance Sunday night during the overnight hours that frontal boundary may make its way just past that I-10 corridor. And so some of you in Fort Bend County areas like Katy, Brookshire, you may be dipping into the 50s first thing Monday morning, and then out ahead of it South of that front, those temperatures may just stay into the low to mid 60s. So there is some hope that we get at least a little bit of a temperature change here for some areas on Sunday. But more of us should see that temperature change once that cold front blows through sometime on Tuesday. By Wednesday, we're talking overnight lows in the 50s, highs in the 60s. Even colder on Thursday. We'll keep the rain chances going at least at 30%, and then we'll slowly start to dry out later on into the week.